What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. All right, you hear the katydids in the trees, the cicadas for all of you northern folks. That's summertime down here in North Carolina. And y'all see I'm having a problem with my backpack leaf blower. And it's time to do a little maintenance, I think. So it's summertime here in North Carolina, and some people don't use their leaf blowers except in the fall, and that's cool, but you still got to maintain proper maintenance on these things. And I use mine all year round, basically. Maybe not in the dead of winter, but spring, summer, fall, I'm using this thing twice a week sometimes, blowing whether it's fresh cut grass, leaves, and where we're at we have a ton of leaves. So let's get into this video of doing some preventive maintenance. So I reached out to the Hypa store for their parts to get this job done right. I spoke with Colin and he's like, man, I got you. So he sends me out a brand new carburetor, air filter, spark plug, fuel lines, and accessories, all to get this job done right. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, taking this thing apart, as simple as it may seem, you definitely want to take pictures with your phone, just so you'll know, you'll have a point of reference if you get crossed up or confused. I mean, there's YouTube videos out there, but it's always best to take your own pictures and take notes. All right, so to access this, you've got two orange thumb screws right here. All right, there we go. That cover comes off just like this. You have a foam pad in here, so we want to inspect this, and you can wash and clean this if need be. See, yep, definitely want to wash and clean this unit. So be washing that in the sink with dishwashing liquid. Look at this. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty in need of a change. Spark plug right there, easily accessible from the top right here. On mine, it's a 3/4. So we want to remove the spark plug just like that. Woo. It's pretty bad. All right, so before we put the new plug in, we're going to check the gap. Per your spec of blower, you're going to check your gap. I'm going to put links in the description for these little spark plug gap tools. They're so valuable to have. We're right at it. Now we put our top boot back on. It clips into place just like that. Spark plug is complete. We're still gonna have to take this back piece off with these Torx bits out. Everywhere you see, just go through and take those out. That will allow access to remove this piece right here to gain access to the carburetor. So all of these Torx bits will come out. Just like that. All right, set that out of the way. That'll gain us access to the carburetor right in here. All right, now that we've got all of these bolts loose, we're gonna have to remove these on the side right here as well. Set them over, and you want to be sure you know what bolts came out of what holes. There are a couple different style bolts. which is pretty self-explanatory for a carburetor bolt like this. There's 2 of them. So see, there we go. All right, yeah, that's just a little shell that falls off right there. Carburetor just actually fell right off, guys. Super simple right there. So you want to remove the old carburetor just by releasing the throttle linkage and pulling the old fuel lines off of there, just like this. Noting where they go for the new one. You don't want to install it backwards. To release the fuel bulb, there's 2 little clips on the back. You just push those, the bulb pops out just like that, and we're going to release the fuel lines right now. Pull the old fuel line off here, and you see right there, I've got a very sharp razor blade, so be careful. You can have scissors or whatnot. So you want to measure that against the old, and then make your cut just like this. All right, are y'all with me? It's that easy. I use one of these door pin pullers to get this rubber grommet that holds the fuel lines out of the fuel tank. There it is, popped right out. All right, you're gonna have this on the end, and they come with a replacement for that as well. So fuel lines, fuel filter, everything. Okay, and you do have 2 different size hoses, so you want to be aware of that. You have a thicker hose and a thinner hose. Okay, throttle cable back over the top, loops into this little piece right here. I don't know if you can see that very well. It'll zoom in on it. Fuel lines. Everything's back the way it came off, but it's got brand new fuel lines. Fuel filters down in the tank right there. I'm fixing to put this back down in there. When you're putting everything back together, you know, putting our bolts back in, I'm about to put these back in. I want you to understand something right here on my little workbench. All right, you've got this bolt, and then you've got this bolt. And you're like, well, what's the difference? Well, one is a metal thin thread bolt, and the other is a plastic bolt. All right, you have to know where these came out of. You can't just put them in different places. All right, so I'm showing you right now. I've got 4, I think 4, I'm not really sure, but these 4 are different than these other ones, lengthwise and thread-wise. Now this is on my blower. It may not be a worry on your blower, but these 4 right here came out of where it mounts to metal. You can actually see the threads on there. All right, so I already know that's plastic, so that's going to be larger. All right, and that's plastic. This is going to be plastic. All right, the metal ones are right here. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, on mine. So you just look, if you take that cover off, you'll see what is metal and you'll see what is plastic. So just do that. Don't mess up, guys. Metal to metal thread, plastic to the plastic bolt. All right, so we want to put the air filter in just like that. I've already washed this, kind of cleaned that up. That's just your outer filter that keeps the large debris off of it. So we're going to take that and put it just like that. Then we're going to take the outer cover, bolt it right up there. So it'll look like that. So these are thumb screws to the air filter housing that ultimately will get you to the carburetor and all the internals right here. And these are thumb screws that tighten and loosen. It does have, I don't know if you can see it, it does have a place for a flathead screwdriver where you can turn that. I strongly advise against that because these are plastic parts, and I would just tighten it and loosen it with my thumb and fingers. One quick piece of advice: once you get this back together, and if you push this bulb several times and there's no gas coming up in it, then that means you've got your hoses backwards. There's two hose connections on the back of this, a long stem and a short stem, and if you look close enough, one will say in and the other will say out, or at least one will say in. And if you've got it backwards and you push this, then it's like a check valve. It will not allow it to work backwards. So you can't just put the hose on either side. So if you're not getting any fuel in there, the reason is you've got your hoses backwards. So just unplug them and reverse them on this, then try it. Like I said, links are in the description below. Check out the Hypa store, contact Colin. He'll set you straight on all of your small engine parts that you'll need to get your leaf blowers, mowers, all your small farm, lawn and garden equipment. Hey, he's got you covered.